If it ends up in a permanent bond in the form of marriage or whatever, then you think it's successful. If it did not, you think it's a failure. It need not be so. I would be happy if you fell in love with a 3 billion woman and don't leave the other 3 billion men also. There's nothing amazing about it, there's nothing intriguing about it. If two hearts are really become one in their experience, this is how it will be. Very matter-of-factly she said this. So this further intrigued him, his wife also saying this. He has 500 women, he cannot understand this. So, on the next hunt when he went, he wanted to check this out. What he did was,
I had this belief, or in fact maybe I was made to believe this whole concept of one life, one partner. But now when I see or observe, the whole monogamous relationships do not seem to be existing anymore. The whole idea of it is gone. What you think about it?
oh, it's not gone, maybe in JNU it's gone. In the rest of the world, it's not really gone. Even if you go to United States where there seems to be so much promiscuity, even there, when people marry, they believe it's for life. But of course, 2 years later, life gets over. That's another matter, but when they get married, they believe it's for life. That's why they invest in the diamonds. They think it's a lifetime investment. They're putting on that, but unfortunately, for all kinds of things, relationships go wrong. And one reason they go wrong so easily is because people are meeting much later in their life. See, when people met much younger, when their personalities were not concretized, they met early, 17, 18, then two people became like one person very easily. Now they're meeting at 30. Now both are concretized, two concrete blocks. But I'm seeing young people, if they marry, they hang on. If people marry over 50 years of age, they hang on because they have again softened up, concretized again. Between 30 and 50, it's a bit of a concrete block, strong persona. Now, friction happens. Well, if they are wise, they will find something beyond. Well, monogamy and polygamy or whatever kind of gamy, if you want to see, the important thing we need to understand is, we are all here, you and me are here. This means a man and woman came together some time ago. Maybe you think their parents, they don't love, they don't do sex, they don't do anything. Just because a priest uttered a mantra, you were born, probably. No, it's not like that. Somebody had a physical need, so they handle it through marriage, and we are here. When you become 18, you become always against marriage. But when you were 3 years of age, you were for marriage, your parents' marriage. When you were 3 years of age, were you not glad your parents had a stable marriage? Hello? Yes. When you're 18, you think of free sex and no marriage and everything. But once again, if you become 50, 55, then you will look for a relationship that lasts. So it is for you to consider, because it's your life, to consider whether you want to live a life where emotionally you're always looking out for somebody, or you settle it in a certain way so that you can use your intelligence and time to create something else. Your research, your work or whatever you're doing, if emotions and body are settled, actually, your ability to use your intelligence will be much better. Otherwise, every day you have to walk around to find somebody. No, I'm not making this thing because I feel so bad in United States. People I know, there thousands of people are involved with me now. People over 40, 45 years of age, women I'm saying, wonderful people, but they are all on this… these days they've all gone online, otherwise they go sit in a bar and wait. Somebody needs to pick them up today. It's terrible.
Tinder generation.
I'm sorry?
Tinder generation.
Whatever you want to call it. When a woman at 45 should have been loved and respected in a proper atmosphere, now she's sitting there looking for some strange guy to come her way and she's going to make the judgment in the next 10 minutes when he buys her a drink or a dinner or something. This is tragic. This doesn't mean everybody will go that way, but you must think of the larger well-being. Before you break a social structure, you must think whether we can replace it with a better structure. At any point in our life, let everybody understand this, whether it's a social structure or a political structure or a psychological setup in the society, whatever, before we break it, we must think through whether we have a better alternative system. Without an alternative system, if you break the existing damn thing that's working reasonably well, then it'll go crazy. It all depends what is your idea of love, first of all. If you fell in love with one woman, one bird, one ant, one tree, and something, then your love is not driven by anything, you're just falling in love. If continuously you're falling in love only with women, that means your love is driven by your hormones. You better understand that. So what is driven by something, you want to label it as love, it is fine. I'm not saying there's no love at all, there is. But what is true and what is not true is not something that you decide because of this, because of what happened or what did not happen. It is a question of how you felt. Whether it ended up in marriage, then you realize it was not love, or it did not end that way and you thought it was true love which was never realized. It's up to you how you want to handle it. But essentially, what love means is, if your physical body becomes very pleasant, generally we call this health and pleasure. If your mind becomes very pleasant, we call this peace and joy. If your emotions become very pleasant, we call this love and compassion. If your life energies become very pleasant, we call this blissfulness and ecstasy. So what you're referring to as love is a certain moment of pleasantness. Now you believe somebody caused it in you, maybe somebody did trigger it in you, somebody did stimulate that in you or inspire that in you. But essentially it is your emotions turning very pleasant, which you call as love. So, if love is true, it will happen without an object. If it's really genuine, true love, what it means is, you have made your emotions very pleasant. Whether a man is here or a woman is here or a tree is here, an ant is here, elephant is here is not the point. You've just made your emotions pleasant. Everything that you behold, you have a certain pleasantness towards it, that is love. Now this continuously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all are women, it's driven by hormones. Nothing… I'm not saying it's anything wrong with it, but you must understand the limitation of it. So, if it ends up in a permanent bond in the form of marriage or whatever, then you think it's successful. If it did not, you think it's a failure. It need not be so. I would be happy if you fell in love with a 3 billion woman, and don't leave the other 3 billion men also. If you fell in love with 3 billion women, it wouldn't be hormonal, it would be just love. I'm in love with all the women in the world, and the men also, and the ants also, and the very soil that I walk upon, and the very tree under which we are sitting right now. Whatever you behold, you have pleasant emotion towards that, is love. And love is not about somebody, it's about you being pleasant, truly pleasant. And is this right, wrong, this, that is not the thing. it is an intelligent way to exist. There is sufficient unpleasantness in the world. However carefully you walk, you will step into something or the other. When this is so, you don't have to manufacture your own unpleasantness within you. Only 3 times in your life if you loved, I think you're a misfortune, because the rest of the time, you have not known that pleasantness within you. Every moment of your life, you must know that pleasantness. You must constantly fall in love with everything and nothing. Women also included, what's the problem with them? Because you cannot tie a bond with 3 billion women, you choose one. One is convenient. If you marry 5, then you will find it's very inconvenient. Yes? One is convenient, and above all, the reason why you tie a bond with somebody is, at least with one person in your whole life, you want somebody with whom there's no holds barred. If you approach a new person, always there is a little bit of, there's a little bit of war and games happening. War games are happening with a new person. With one person, you want to relax, where you don't have to play games. At least with one person, you want to be in total relaxation. That's the idea. Why you want at least one person in that is, still you have not reached a point where you are simply relaxed by yourself, with life itself. Because you are unable to relax with the whole manifestation of life around you, the million manifestations of life around you totally, at least with one person you want to find that. That's the idea of finding a bond or building a bond with that. So people who look beyond that are people, they don't value relaxing with one person because now they're able to relax with just about anything. They are totally at ease with everything in existence. Now they don't find the need to make a bond where only at one place some relaxation happens. Rest of the place you are warlike, always trying to protect yourself. One place where you can keep your defense mechanism down, because only when you keep your defense mechanism down, something beautiful can happen within you, and the need to protect yourself is gone. So the idea of forming a unit of family and the larger identities of community, nation and whatever else is simply to find a space where you can keep your defense mechanism down and just be in a certain sense of ease. Because only in that ease, the other possibility will find expression, otherwise you will be just like an animal, constantly trying to survive, preserve yourself. So, love is seen as a possibility to go beyond that instinct of self-preservation, where you're not trying to preserve yourself, you're trying to offer yourself to something or somebody. For that you don't need a person, you can just do it simply with life.
There was a king in Ujjain, his name was Bhartrihari. He's the one who wrote the Sringara Shatakam and later on wrote the Vairagya Shatakam. Sringara Shatakam is a composition of poems which are all about passion and erotica. Vairagya Shatakam is complete dispassion and renunciation. This is a king who was steeped in physical pleasure, he really living his life out. One day he went hunting and he shot a antler and killed it. When the antler fell dead, the doe, the female deer which was with it, refused to leave the spot. Risking its own life, it just stood there. This surprised the king. Instead of running for its life, it is just standing there to be shot. And in the process when this was happening, one of the soldiers who were hunting with him was bitten by a snake and he also died. When he died, his wife came and when they set him to flames, it was with great difficulty that they held her off the flames because she wanted to jump into the flames. So this just intrigued him. For him, his life was all about himself, his pleasures, his likes and whatever else. When he saw this doe and also this woman wanting to jump into the fire, this confused him. So he had a wife whose name was Pingala. So he was talking to her and said, today these two things that I witnessed somehow have set my whole mind into confusion. Then Pingala said, if two hearts have fused into one, then this is how it'll be. This is a natural reality. There's nothing amazing about it, there's nothing intriguing about it. If two hearts have really become one in their experience, this is how it will be. Very matter-of-factly she said this. So this further intrigued him, his wife also saying this. He has 500 women, he cannot understand this. So, on the next hunt when he went, he wanted to check this out. What he did was, he bloodied his clothes with animal blood and sent it back to the palace. And it was announced to Pingala that the king died, he was killed by a tiger. So when she got these bloodied clothes, she put it in a heap, she bowed down to it, then she did go and lie down on it, and she simply breathed her last, she died. When he came to know about this, it completely disturbed him so much that him whimsically trying to test her like this, and she actually gave up her life. And then he dropped his kingdom and he became a sage, and that's when he produced the Vairagya Shatakam, a great work of poetry. This is the nature of the feminine, that consequence is not the important thing. That moment's passion and love is more important than what is going to happen out of it. The calculation of what's going to come out of it, if it comes, that's very masculine. Masculine is always thinking about the consequence. The feminine doesn't think about the consequence, it's about what matters now. What you think or what somebody thinks is not the nature of the feminine. What one feels is the nature of the feminine. Should it not be tempered with thought? Yes, it should be when it comes to material aspects of life. But when it comes to life itself, if you are not feminine, then you cannot enjoy it. So this is the nature of the feminine, that it is capable of going beyond itself. Only that which is capable of going beyond itself is eligible for a spiritual process. That which wants to protect itself is not eligible for spiritual process. The Shambhavi is something which can inflame the feminine in you. Because if you don't keep yourself aside, it cannot happen. It's not something that you do, it is something that you allow. That's the most beautiful aspect of Shambhavi is, you cannot really do it. Only if you allow it, it's like a flood. If you try to do it properly, technically, nothing will happen, because the practice itself doesn't do anything. If you allow it, then the innermost core, which is the basis of creation, finds full expression.